Hello there, everyone, and welcome into our ESPN FC studios. I'm Alexis Nunes, back with the beacon of positivity that is our Ale Moreno. Let's get things kicked off. Of course, with the Community Shield, there were headlines all over the UK after Arsenal had quite the convincing win over an Enzo Maresca-run Manchester City. Look at that, Rice and Threezy, because of course they won 3-0. You know I love me some puns, Ale.
No, I got it.
You got it?
It was cute.
Yeah. It was cute. I at least didn't come up with it. But either way, it is a happy day if you are a gunner indeed. Let's welcome in.
Tell Frank that we're ready to go.
Frank, we're ready to go.
All right, okay.
All right, he's ready. He doesn't like when we talk too much. He doesn't like when we talk too much about Arsenal. Remember, he's a Chelsea man. So let's welcome in our former Chelsea man and World Cup champion himself, Frank Leboeuf. And if one Frenchman wasn't enough, let's bring in another one in Julien, who has finally stopped crying after France lost to Spain in the World Cup. But Jules, don't worry, we're not going to be talking about that. We're not going to be talking about that. Let's talk about Arsenal. We know how close you are, of course, with the club. After what we saw from them against Manchester City in the Community Shield, just how impressed were you, and did it feel like a sort of message to the rest of their rivals ahead of the season?
Yeah, I think it was very positive. You're right, absolutely. They wanted to make a mark in a way. The preseason had been a bit on and off, really. Some of the games and the performances that they had through the summer were not always the most convincing, and it's only preseason. There's always a lot of changes. There's always a lot of rotation. So there's nothing really, or not too much to take on from those matches, but still, I think this was important for them. Not so much to lift that trophy, but much more to say that they basically are continuing where they left off at the end of the season, last season, when they were crowned Premier League champions after that such a long wait, and with a team that hasn't changed that much, with new signings, certainly two of them in that starting lineup against City, in Bruno Guimaraes and Solis, and that they just showed that whoever will want to beat them this season in the league, they will have to be very strong.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about some of the newcomers and how they did for Arsenal. But Ale, just off the bat, what you thought of Arsenal?
I know this is going to be cutting-edge analysis. I know it's breaking news. Arsenal are really good.
Yeah.
Arsenal are the best team in the Premier League. Yeah. Arsenal are more powerful than everybody else. And the best version of Arsenal is far better than everybody else. And I think what we saw from yesterday, and I know in yesterday's show they talked about some of the statements by Enzo Maresca in his interview and this and that and the other, and how Maresca just kind of went around in circles and kind of talking here and there. I wish a manager would just come out and say, they're just better than us. Right now, they're better than us. It doesn't mean that it's going to be throughout the course of the season, but right now, they're better than us. And I think that's the reality for everybody else in the Premier League when they look at Arsenal. They're just better than everybody else. And while the performance wasn't spectacular, it was very efficient, it was effective, it was very mature, very professional. It was Arsenal saying, we're really good, the rest of you are going to have to catch up, and we don't see it happening.
Frank, do you agree? Just Arsenal giving us all a reminder that they still are the best team heading into this Premier League season?
As Ali Moreno will say, 100% for sure.
Okay. Frank, commit. You got to commit.
100%.
Eso. 100%.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm warming up. That's why,
Preseason.
But that's the reality of it. I mean, they've been spot on. I mean, it's why they scored after maybe 20 seconds. It's why they scored second half after maybe 1 minute. It's because they are already spot on and ready for the fight. And as Ali just said, and Jules also alluded, there is no competition right now. I don't see any team being able to compete with the Gunners. Hopefully, some clubs going to be able to do that and surprise us, because we won a race like we used to, and City showed us that it was impossible to follow the rhythm. As the other clubs will be able to do that, I don't know. But right now, the Gunners everywhere, in all positioning, they are at the top of the top and ready to double their title.
Yeah, we definitely are going to talk about Manchester City as well in a bit, because some could say they did make it pretty easy for Arsenal. But Jules, you did mention Bruno Guimaraes and Solis as well. They seem to be taking to life at Arsenal like a duck to water.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for Solis, he's the Trossard replacement, and actually, when you see him play, there's a lot of similarities between their style of football. He's probably more of a passer and an assist man than Trossard was, for example. He was last season in Europe, and if you count the top 5 leagues, but also the lesser leagues, if you want, like the Belgian one or Portugal or the Netherlands. And he was the best in assists in the whole of Europe. So there's something there clearly, and we saw with the 2 assists that he gave in the game against City, what he can provide for this team. Bruno Guimaraes is different because he's more experienced, he's older, he's already primarily proven, which is not the case of Solis. He's a Brazilian international, plays in the World Cup, plays in the Champions League, all that kind of things. So for him, you would say it's probably very much it's easier to settle in a team like Arsenal and the way they play than it might be for Solis. And I even thought that Bruno Guimaraes looked a bit tired at time in that City game, which is normal. He's just arrived. He didn't really have a preseason before signing for Arsenal. He's pushing himself quite hard at training, I think, to catch up with the rest of the squad that started earlier. So I think there's much more to come from Bruno. But from what we saw yesterday, in terms of controlling that tempo, in terms of being press resistant, in terms of having that connection, especially with Odegaard on that kind of right-hand side, all those things that we saw on Sunday is very promising.
Yeah, I think from Bruno Guimaraes, we definitely expected this. He is Premier League proven already, Ale. But Solis coming in, the young Greek star, 2 assists. How can he grow into this Mikel Arteta team? What kind of role do you see for him?
Well, I think when you come into a team that is already built and has had success, the one thing that you want to do to kind of settle in and to make sure that your teammates buy into what you are as a player is have an impact in games that count. And this was really the first game that counted for something for Arsenal and Solis. And the fact that he comes in and has a couple of assists, he's active, he's getting on the ball, he's confident. As a player in that group, you begin to respect what this guy is all about. It is up to him to come and prove to his teammates, not us. We are really not that important. Not even Frank. Well, Frank is a little bit more important than everybody else. Yes.
Frank's the World Cup.
But to the fans and to the crowd and to the media, for players, that's not all that important as much as it is to your teammates. That they respect what you do, that they respect what you are as a player, that they see that you can make an impact. And it's more difficult to do that when you come into a team that has been successful. Mm-hmm. Hey, you have to be a player in order to be on the field for Arsenal. Well, Solis looked like a player yesterday. And that, I think, is a step forward for him and a step forward for Mikel Arteta, who then says, okay, we may have been thinking of Trossard is already gone. How can we cover that hole? We got it with this guy.
Yeah.
And he can do the job, at least from the little evidence that we have seen so far, that he can indeed do that job and do it very well.
Frank, as Alice said, it's your opinion, the only one that really matters, because you're the most important one on this panel. So what did you make of the two? Are you equally as impressed?
Yes, every time I open my mouth is to say something important, because otherwise I would rather shut up,
Wow.
But no, I think they are two wonderful. The two of them, they are the wonderful starts, and especially Solis surprised me. Was very efficient, ready already, physically, tactically. It was like he knew the house, and that was very impressive. Bruno Guimaraes was not as fit maybe as Solis. But the two will bring something that Arteta needs. It's in case there is a problem, because I don't know who's going to start in the middle of the park with Rice, because Lewis Kelly was absolutely fantastic also, especially during the first half. In the first half. So there is something that you can expect from all the players. They will have to reach their top. And so far, so good for everybody, because everybody, as I said, was spot on yesterday. They did what they had to do. The new players, the newcomers, they were absolutely efficient. So everything is in a green light. Let's see how it works. And if it keeps on working that way, it's going to be hard to catch the guys.
It's going to be hard to catch Arsenal indeed if they continue how they do. But one thing's for sure, I don't think Manchester City can continue like what we saw in that game. Jules, any real concerns for Enzo Maresca's City?
I think it's a bit early really to judge, I think. I mean, when you consider a goal after 24 seconds, I think it changes the whole game plan. It changes your approach of the game, the way Arsenal defended then and left the ball to City. So I think it's a bit harsh if we go already and judge Maresca and the difficulties that they had at times in this game against Arsenal. I think what we saw, there were some interesting things in the structure of the team, especially with the ball in the build-up phase with Kusanov, Diaz and Gvardiol, the role of O'Reilly, the role of Kovacic, and maybe more interestingly for us, Aurelio Anderson, because they spent a lot of money on Anderson. And on Sunday, it was quite peripheral of what they were doing with the ball. It was on that right-hand side. Kovacic was the one where all the ball went through every time for everything. And you think, okay, you've got an Anderson where you spend all that money on. Surely you want it at the heart of everything you're going to do with the ball because that's what he's really good at. And yet that was not really his role on Sunday. So it's a work in progress, really. And I don't think we can really judge Maresca on that one game, again, because of the scenario of the game, because of what he's trying to put together. And also, let's not forget, his squad is not complete yet. And that's not his fault. That's not on him. That's on Hugo Viana, the sporting director, on people at the club for not having signed more players. Why is that Rodri saga still not sorted? Why is replacement not already here? You know, Boadi will probably come this week, but that's quite late. What about Enzo Fernandez? Do they only realize now that they wanted Enzo Fernandez? So I can feel a little bit for Maresca on where he's at right now, but certainly on Sunday it was disappointing as a performance overall.
Ale, what did you make of City?
Well, and going and talking about Elliot Anderson, and think about what makes him a successful player, what made him a successful player during the World Cup. He's getting on the ball. Mm-hmm. He's active. He's connecting. He's getting the ball from the defenders, and he is a guy that then is a conduit of.
Word.
Well, thank
Love
you very
that
much.
for you.
Well, Jules used peripheric,
yeah,
so I felt the pressure.
And English isn't even his first language. Jeez.
And so he is a conduit. He is the one that connects. He is the one that gets the ball from here to there. But in order to do that, you have to get on the ball. You have to be on the ball. And so to Jules' point, for him to kind of he was almost closer to the sideline than he was to the middle of the field. Closer to Maresca than he was to the ball. And I'm thinking, but this is not what he does, or at least it's not what I think got our attention and what got the attention of Manchester City. And I think his engine right now, at this point in his career, has to be better than Kovacic's engine. And so he has to be the one that gets on the ball. But again, you're coming into a new team and you're kind of trying to fit in. And you have to be very careful about this when you're a player. You're trying to fit in, but make sure that you don't lose sight of what you are and what makes you a good player. And what makes him a good player is that level of activity and getting on the ball and connecting the next pass and getting in the line forward. And we just didn't see enough of that. In fact, we didn't see enough of that from Manchester City. I go back to the statements that Enzo Maresca made. And he made it sound as if like they were competitive, as if like they were just a couple of things here and there away from this game being close. And that was not the case at all. That's just flat out lie. This game was really not competitive. And yes, while I know that the early goal conditions the match, you gave up the early goal. It didn't just happen. You gave it up. You gave up a goal 30 seconds in. That's a problem. It's a referendum on you. It's a referendum on the players. It's a referendum on Manchester City. So we can't just dismiss the early goal and go, well, you know, there's things that happen and conditions the game. Well, no, that's on you as well. I didn't see anything from Manchester City that you say, you know what, I like that. But to Jules' point, it is early. So just the same as I'm not going to go crazy for Arsenal, I'm not going to go crazy against Manchester City here because it did have a feeling of preseason. You lifted a trophy, but it did have a feeling of preseason. We are guessing that Manchester City will be much better, and they'll need to be.